Yo, hello and welcome back to my Super Autopets Meta Report Part 2. Did you just skip Part 1 and think you don't need it? You should be ashamed of yourself. Go back to Part 1 now, I'll wait. Okay, welcome back. I am fully aware that you didn't go back, but I don't care. Let's pick up where we left and let's jump into the mid-game. Round 5 to 10. Dodo. If you're coming from an early duck game, you're a happy man right now with the Dodo, because you want to buff and level it as quickly as you can. A giraffe will help you greatly with that early. If you found a Dodo late, you can also think about sacrificing a round or two, pick monkey and put the Dodo up front to receive the buff. Later, switch out the giraffe for a penguin if you manage to get your Dodo to level 2. Because the penguin won't care where it's positioned, while the giraffe actually does. And the penguin most likely will buff not only the Dodo, so that's just a straight upgrade. That's the core and supporting slot out of the way. The buff target for your Dodo can actually be kinda flexible in the early mid game. A crab will do nicely if you have a really healthy unit in the front of it. So you would be playing, for example, giraffe, Dodo, crab and a strong peacock, or maybe a high level fish or something. As long as you don't find a rooster, this slot is really flexible, as I said. You generally want to have a unit in front of the Dodo with lots of HP or a garlic armor on it. You can also play something like giraffe, Dodo, any strong unit, turtle to assure the strong unit with lots of attack to attack at least twice. As soon as you hit a rooster in the shop, you definitely want to put it on the receiving of the Dodo buff and focus on leveling that one as high as you can. You want to stop buffing a Dodo permanently when you hit around 20 attack. With 20 attack on a level 2 Dodo, the Dodo will buff the target for 40 attack. The general cap for stats is 50, you cannot have more attack or HP than this. So do the math yourself how far you need to buff the Dodo. This build is extremely viable for your late game too, and only changes a bit for that. We will have a look into that in the next video, but as we're not done yet with the mid game, next up. Cycling. This build also pops off greatly with early ducks. Your core unit is the dog. If you see a dog in turn 3, you can go all in on this. Your idea behind this strat is to buy units and sell them immediately again to provide buffs to the dog. Your lineup ideally looks like this: shrimp, swan, dog. Any of those can be twice in your lineup. I really like having 2 swans or 2 shrimps in that, but keep in mind that neither swan or shrimp are a must-have here. They just greatly help you with that strategy. 2 dogs can be really powerful too, but oftentimes the second dog starts to be in the way in the late game, which is why I would prioritize a second swan or a second shrimp, as you want to sell these coming into the late game anyway. A dog alone with no shrimp and swan is still strong enough to carry your mid game if you go all in on cycling. The 5th slot in this lineup is your cycling slot. You might think that it doesn't matter which units you want to cycle, but let me tell you, units like beaver, duck, otter, pig, snail and cow give you additional value when buying or selling, so prioritize those. Also pay attention and plan ahead which unit you want to buy last to keep for the fight. Obviously you want a unit there which will provide a lasting upside. A penguin, giraffe or monkey will do nicely. One pro tip here: buying a spider and pill it instead of directly selling it will provide you another unit, and then selling that will cost you 3 gold effectively and triggers the dog twice and the shrimp, if you have one, once. Stonks, dude. The dog by itself will stay relevant for your late game, but more about that in a later video. Next up. Buses. Another great and fun strat for your mid game is to abuse the shit out of deer. You are more likely to play this if you haven't played ducks early, because deer and whale are tier 3 and you never keep your ducks that long. You obviously want to find an early deer and an early whale. A great third unit could be a kangaroo, so you want to play kangaroo, whale, deer. If you have these together, prioritize leveling your deer and whale and not the kangaroo. If you can level the kangaroo too, that's fine, but a leveled deer or whale will bring more value on your board. If you find a shark early and couldn't level up your kangaroo, switch those two. You could actually also play both. Every other slot in this strat is pretty much flexible. If you actually play shark though, one slot could be booked for a spider or sheep to feed the shark even more. But those units are not that strong by themselves, so don't prioritize those over leveling your deer and whale. Yeah, the shark feeds and gets huge, but you lose value playing spider or sheep in the first place, so it will level itself out. This build falls off quite a bit in the late game, however, because the bosses don't have that much of an impact anymore. I will explain how you can pivot out of it again in the next video. Next up, Hedgehog Massacre. Another fun one is to abuse the effect of the hedgehog. You can run this if you find a lot of hedgehogs early. If you find 3 early hedgehogs, for example, it is key to not combine them yet. Combine 2 of them and place a stronger one behind the weaker one, so the stronger one won't die immediately from the effect by the first one. Focus on getting your hedgehogs big so they can chip in one attack before they die. In the backline you want to have a huge blowfish with garlic on it. It will shoot its damage on top of Hedgehog's effect when one dies. This will shit on any players who don't run a single bulky unit basically. Generally, the more Hedgehogs you have, the better. But the very first slot is still a flex spot in my eyes. You wanna run a big unit in the front, which you can also run in your late game. I will talk about those units in the next video. By the way, against popular belief, I would not advise to play Badger in this strat. The Badger hurts yourself for way too much damage and would likely lose you the game very quickly. This unfortunately has no use for the late game either, as the damage counts are usually not high enough to go through 50 HP multiple times. With this, you wanna probably pivot towards a build which focuses on that one big unit you have in the front. Talking about that, next up, Rhino. Another great build is something which makes great use of the Rhino. Your plan is to get your Rhino as huge as you possibly can and give him melon armor as early as possible, so that once he defeated one unit, he starts snowballing and just defeating an opponent's lineup before he even attacks again. Obviously, you wanna run Rhino in the front, or a turtle in the front and a Rhino after that, but in that case, you are just looking for a pill to kill off the turtle to get some tasty early melon on your Rhino. Great supporting units are Giraffe, Monkey, Penguin, if your Rhino is at least level 2, Dolphin and Rabbit, as you wanna buy every permanent buff you get from your Rhino to grow big. Another awesome unit to have is a Skunk to control the opponent's HP and to make the life of your Rhino easier. If you put a lot of effort into your Rhino, he will thank you. Your Rhino is ready for the late game. Next up, Hippo. In similar fashion, you could also create a build centered around the Hippo. It works pretty much the same as Rhino, only that your Hippo grows stronger the more units it devours. If you get your Hippo huge, it is as viable, if not more viable, than your Rhino build. Nice. Next up, Bison. Same also goes for the Bison, only that you need a level 3 unit on the board. If you found huge amounts of the same unit in your early game shops, the Bison is your core unit to go. The earlier you get your Bison on the board, the better it scales towards your late game. His stats can be so huge so early already if you are lucky, but because it needs that luck in the early game, I will list this one last. Now, I have talked a lot about flex slots. I now want to show you which units I actually mean with this. Great flex slots units are lower tiers first, Spawn, as it provides constant economic value, Badger with a B on it, although that's a meme and don't take me seriously, don't play this, I will hate you. Turtle, to provide armor to your core unit behind. Bison could be one, although there's a stretch for it, as you know because you paid attention. If you have a level 3 unit, a Bison can be a great addition to your build if you are actually following a different strat. Dolphin, which needs no explanation. A Hippo could be one as well. Skunk, obviously. Worm, only in strats which don't need shop food, but even then you probably won't run it. Crocodile, which also needs no explanation. Scorpion, which is obvious. And if you're running a strat which needs no food, a seal could be a nice filler as well. With this video I hope I could shed some light into how to properly play the mid-game. So as you could see, the game really opens up in the mid-game as pretty much anything is viable. The factor of what to play will be most likely the core unit you find in the first shop. This is also the reason why I didn't really rank these strats yet. I find it really difficult to ignore the fact that one strat gets immediately stronger if you find a corresponding core unit really early in the shop. I will leave you with that question now. How would you rank these strats? What are your favorite mid-game strats to play? What is your main go-to build? And most importantly, have you got any additions to this? Please let me and all other viewers know in the comments below. If you want to keep your secrets to yourself, that's fine, and you can now watch the next video where we will have a quick look at the late game strats starting from round 11. You will find the video in my end card, which should be right around the corner. As always, if you like this video, never tell me or your friends, and also please never share this around. Also, please make sure to not like this video. If you want to see more content like this, definitely don't subscribe to my channel and never check out this video displayed over here. See you in the next video. I'm out.